Hey there, it's Krystal Everdeen, and today I want to share with you how to crochet this Halloween granny square tote bag. Now for this project I'm using orange yarn, black yarn, as well as some white yarn later on in the video. So these are the 3 colors that you need, and then for everything else I'm just using felt. So you could also use felt or you could just crochet everything, but for me and my project, these are the 3 colors that I'm using, and they are all 100% acrylic and size 4. If you don't have any yarn, you don't have any stores near you where you can purchase yarn, I will link yarn in the description box down below via my Amazon affiliate link, so you could order from there. I am also using a size 5mm hook, and I will leave the link to the hook in the description box below as well. And with that, let's go ahead and get started. So I'm first going to start off with the pumpkin granny squares. Now I shared a beginner-friendly version of how to make these granny squares, both the ghost and the pumpkin slash jack-o'-lantern. So if you want to watch those, because I'm going too fast for you in this video, that will also be in the description box down below. So again, any help you need, it will be in the description box down below. And in addition to that, I do have a crocheting for beginners video that I will leave in the description box down below, and that covers how to make a slip knot, how to chain, how to do the basic stitches, how to hold your hook, and so on if you are completely new to crochet. So again, check out the description box down below if you need any help. But with that, let's go ahead and get started. And again, I am going to be doing this rather quickly because I do have beginner versions of these things. So if you've already seen them, this will be a breeze for you. So I'm just going to chain 3 and then go back on to the first chain that I created and make a single crochet. Then from here, I'm going to go into the center stitch, and I'm going to make 5 single crochets inside of that one stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and sometimes it's hard to see, but once you complete the 5th one, it should look something like this, just like a little ball. And then from here, you're just going to build on top of this ball. So after you've created your 5 single crochets within that same center stitch, you're going to now start to create single crochets on top of those single crochets. And for the first row, you're going to make 2 single crochets per stitch. So every time you come across a single crochet, you're going to make 2 single crochets within it. So that is going to help increase the number of stitches per row, and make sure that your circle is growing, because if you do not make 2 single crochets per stitch, then your circle is not going to grow. It's just going to curve and turn into a little cluster, and that's not what we want. We want a flat circle, so you need to increase the number of stitches per row. And again, to do that, you just need to make 2 single crochets per stitch. And then once you go all around, your project should look something like this, a little circle like this, and you're pretty much just going to keep going around and around and around until you're happy with the size of your little pumpkin. But after that first row of making 2 single crochets inside of every single stitch, I then switch it to making 2 single crochets every other stitch. So I make 2 single crochets inside of a stitch, and then I go into the next stitch and just make 1 single crochet inside that stitch, and then I go into the next one and I make 2 single crochets inside of that same stitch, and so on and so forth until I am happy with the size of the circle. Again, I'm just going to keep going around and around and around and around until I'm happy with the size of the circle, which I want to make it about like this big. So just a few more rows and then we can move on to making it a square. So after a number of rows of repeating that pattern, this is what my pumpkin looks like so far, and I'm pretty happy with the size of it. So I cut the yarn from the yarn ball, and now I'm going to make my last single crochet, bring the excess yarn through that last loop, give it a tug, and then seal the project. I'm going to tuck in this excess yarn just so it's kind of out of the way. And then I'm going to add the black frame around to make it more of the actual granny square shape. So again, you start off with a round project, and then we're going to end up making it a square project, again by adding the black yarn now. So grab your black yarn and attach it to pretty much wherever you want to. Because it's a circle, it doesn't really matter, but I like to start the project, or at least the black part of the project where I left off. So I'm going to attach it right here, and then bring it through that stitch. And I'm going to first start off by making the corner part of the project. And again, if you are completely lost, if I'm going like way too fast for you, I do have a much slower, more beginner friendly version of how to make the pumpkin granny square in the description box below. So you can go ahead and watch that. But if you've already watched this video, I do want to say that this is the part where I did change it up. So in the beginner friendly video, I said that I used a double crochet, but then I decided to change it because it was a little bit too big in my opinion, and I want these stitches to be closer together. So now I'm going to use a half double crochet. So from here I'm going to go into the same stitch where we made the chain, and I'm going to make a total of 2 half double crochets inside of the same stitch. So a half double crochet is yarn over through a stitch, yarn over back through a stitch, yarn over through all 3 loops. And after you've made a total of 1 chain of 3 followed by 2 double crochets inside of that 1 stitch, you've made a corner piece. And then after you made that corner piece, you're going to go into the next couple of stitches until you reach where you want to make the next corner piece, just with 1 half double crochet per stitch until you want to make a corner piece again. So from here I'm going to continue on making half double crochets until I reach the stitch where I want the next corner piece to be. And you could find that out by just laying out your project and deciding where you want the square to be shaped. So that's where you find where you want your corners to be. So in this next stitch, this is where I want the corner to be. So I'm going to make a total of 3 half double crochets inside of this 1 stitch, and that's going to make it more of a corner piece because it is filled with more stitches than the rest of the project. So again, between the 2 corner pieces, it's just 1 stitch per stitch here. So it's just 1 half double crochet per stitch, and then once you reach the corner piece, then it is 3 half double crochets per stitch. That's going to help point out the corners here and also increase the number of stitches in general, so it all works out. So for now it kind of looks like your pumpkin has a little hat, but we're going to continue with this pattern. So from here I'm going to make 1 half double crochet until I reach the next area where I want the corner piece to be, and then I'm going to make 3 half double crochets inside of 1 stitch. Then I'm going to go across right here and then make 3 half double crochets once I get to the next point where I want the point to be, and then finish off the project by making 1 stitch per stitch here of half double crochet until I reach the end right here. So I've already made the corner piece on this side. Now let's go over to the other side. Again, just making 1 half double crochet per stitch. And if you want to continue with the other video that I made and make double crochets instead of half double crochets, totally up to you. Again, I just decided to make half double crochets instead of double crochets because I wanted the stitches to be tighter. I didn't want there to be as much space in between, so I decided to make a tighter stitch as opposed to double crochet. So yeah, so I've made my 3 double crochets inside of this 1 stitch to make a corner. Now I'm going to continue on to the next side where I want the corner to be with my half double crochets here, and then once I reach that stitch where I want the corner to be, I'm going to go ahead and make 3 half double crochets inside of this 1 stitch. Huzzah! And then from here I'm going to complete the row by going into every single stitch and just making 1 half double crochet within every stitch below it. And now we have reached the end. So this is what one row of the black yarn on top of your pumpkin looks like. Now to complete the row, we're going to slip stitch into the very first stitch we made for this new row. And now it's nice and done. But we're going to make another row of the black. So if you're going to continue on, you're going to want to chain 3 from here. Then you're going to go into that same stitch and make 2 more half double crochets inside of the same stitch. And then you're going to continue on with the next stitch, going into the previous row's half double crochet and making 1 half double crochet on top of every stitch until you reach a corner piece. Now when you reach a corner piece, you're going to do the exact same thing, except now that we've established a corner, we don't have to just make it up anymore. You are going to go into the middle stitch of that corner piece. So I just went into 1 of the 3 double crochets within the corner piece that we made in the previous row, and we're going to go into that middle stitch. Remember, you made 3 half double crochets per corner stitch, so there's always going to be 1 in the middle, and the one in the middle is the one that you're going to go into and make 3 half double crochets in. 1, 2, and 3, and that is just going to continue building upon that corner. So every single time you reach a corner piece, that's what you're going to do. Of course, except for the first one, where instead of 3 half double crochets, you have that chain first and then 2 double crochets. But yeah, every time you reach the corner, that's what you're going to do. And you're going to do that all along the project. But in between the corner pieces, it's just 1 half double crochet until you reach the corner piece again. And then once you do reach the corner piece, you're going to go into that middle stitch in that corner piece and make 3 half double crochets within it. And then you're going to just continue on the project as normal. And this is what it looks like so far, like this. So you just continue on. Okay, so I'm almost complete with the second row, and again I'm going to actually complete it by slip stitching into the very first stitch of the new row, and now it is done. And this is where I stop, but if you want the frame to be larger, if you want to build more on top of it, then you just continue with that same pattern. But yeah, that is the beginning of how to make a pumpkin slash jack-o'-lantern granny square. Now for the rest of it, you can either crochet little pieces for the face and the stem, or you can cut it out of felt like I did. So I just got some felt, cut out some triangles, and now I'm just going to sew them onto my pumpkin. So I made a little stem, I made a little mouth, as well as the eyes, and I'm going to make little facial expressions for every single pumpkin that I make for this project. Now that's going to take a little while, so I decided to make all the pumpkins first, and then I'm going to cut out all the faces at the same time. But again, you can take a different direction and actually crochet little triangles and then add them on here, crochet a little mouth and then add it on here, crochet a little stem and then add it on here. But I like it better when I just, cut it out of felt because it's easier. But totally up to you. Okay, so yeah, that was a quick little recap on how to make a jack-o'-lantern granny square. But again, if that was way too fast for you, I have a more beginner version video linked in the description box below. So now we're going to learn how to make the little ghosts. And for this one, I haven't put their faces on. I haven't put the faces on any of the pumpkins I've made either. I'm going to do that last, where I'm just going to cut out all the faces and then put them on last. So for now, I am making all the granny squares, and then I'm going to put the faces on. But anywho, now that you know how to make the pumpkin, let's go ahead and learn how to make the ghost. Just pretend that it has a face already. But again, I do have a crocheting But again, I do have a beginner-friendly version of how to crochet this ghost up on my channel as well. I did that on purpose. So this particular video wouldn't be super crazy long. So in this video, it's going to be a really quick recap of how to make this. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we're going to do is grab our white yarn this time. Okay, so once you're happy with the size of your circle, then you're going to make the little ghost legs, and the way I make the little ghost legs is from pretty much anywhere where you want to make the legs. You're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to make a double crochet inside of that same exact stitch where you made the 3 chains. And then from here, we're going to slip stitch into the next stitch, and then slip stitch into the stitch after that. And this is what it should look like, just a little nub. And then from here we're going to do the same thing. We're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, create a double crochet inside of the same stitch, and double crochet. And then we're going to slip stitch into the next stitch, then slip stitch into the stitch after that. And then we're going to make the third little nub, and we're going to chain 3, then make a double crochet inside of the same stitch, and then from here just slip stitch into the next stitch, and you have our little ghostly shape. Then from here I like to make one more row of single crochet all around just to make it a little bit thicker. And again, I do have a more beginner friendly version of how to make this little ghost square if that was too fast for you. But yeah, this is essentially what it looks like right now. And next up we're going to get the black yarn, and we're going to now make this into a square. So the easiest way for me to pinpoint where I want the corners to be is to start right here where I know for sure I want this little ghost leg to be a corner. So I'm going to attach my black yarn to this little ghost leg corner, little granny square with the ghost in the center. And again, once I'm done with all of the crocheting portion of this project, I'm going to add the faces. I'm going to cut out all of the faces with the black felt and either sew them or glue them on to every single square. Ta-da! And this is what it would look like if I glued the little pieces on. So you could just make little eyes and mouths out of felt and then glue them on or sew them on if you want to, or you could crochet like tiny little pieces and then add them to the ghost. But again, I prefer felt, but totally up to you. So what I'm going to do is finish up crocheting all of the pumpkins as well as all of the ghosts, and then after that I'm going to show you how to put everything together, and then after that's all done, and then I'll add the faces. But totally up to you whenever you want to add the faces. I'm just going to wait till the very end, but you could add them on after you make each one. You could make all of the granny squares and then put the faces on and then put them together. But yeah, that's just going to be what I'm doing. I'm going to crochet everything and then I'm going to add the details on after. And if you want to make the same size bag as me, you're going to need 16 of each square, so 16 pumpkins as well as 16 ghosts. So once I am done with 16 of each, the pumpkin and the ghosts, then I will get back to you and show you how I put everything together to shape the bag. Okay, so I have officially completed 16 pumpkin granny squares as well as 16 ghost granny squares, and it took me quite a while, but now we're finally able to put everything together. And I'm just going to line everything up first. So I am going to line them up in pairs of 2 for the front and back, and this is just going to give you an idea of what it's going to look like. I had a tote bag that I was using for reference, like size reference. I didn't realize how big tote bags are. The other crochet bags that I made in the past, they were 3x3s, so it was just this big, right here. Like they're just that big, and I thought that was pretty big, but then when I would actually wear it, I'm like, oh yeah, actually this is kind of small. So I got a tote bag of mine for reference, and they're apparently the size of 4 by 4 granny squares. So it actually looks more like this, which looks huge to me, but if you don't believe me, I actually have the tote bag right here. And the tote bag is still bigger than the tote bag I'm going to be making, which, again, I was very surprised that tote bags are this big, but again, that makes so much sense because the last couple times I've made crochet tote bags, they've been pretty dang small, even though it looks like they're really big when I put them together. So pretty much it's going to be 4 granny squares by 4 granny squares, and again, it's going to be 16 of each design. So you gotta make 16 pumpkins, you gotta make 16 ghosts, and line them up. So on one side, it's 8 of each, and then on the other side, the back side, it's going to be another 8 of each. And then if you wanted to make this tote bag wider, you could also make granny squares on the side too, but we're just gonna make this one a flat one because it's taken me forever to make this just as it is. So what we're going to do now is just attach everything together, which is very, very easy. And then we're just going to make the strap and then be done with it. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my black yarn and show you how I attach everything. So it's very important to attach it the right way, otherwise it's going to look ugly. So you're going to grab 2 pieces. You can pretty much attach it any way you want to, but I'm just going to grab, say, these 2 pieces, and I'm going to make sure that they are facing the way that I want them to be facing. And then I'm going to fold the right sides together, aka the good looking sides together, and I'm going to attach them from the back here. So this is the cute side that I want, and then this is the side that I don't want to be shown. That's going to be on the inside of the bag. So I'm going to line them up how I want them to be attached to, corner to corner, and I'm going to bring my hook through the stitches, then grab my yarn and then bring it through the 2 stitches, holding on to the end of the yarn as well as the yarn that's attached to the yarn ball still. And I'm going to just chain 1 just to secure it in place so it doesn't unravel. And then I'm just going to go up along the side right here and slip stitch the 2 together. So I'm going to go through the ghost one, and then I'm going to go through the pumpkin one, and I'm going to slip stitch through both of them. Then I'm just going to go through both and slip stitch. And that's how I am going to be attaching all of these together. So along every edge, wherever I'm trying to attach the granny squares to, that's where I'm going to be slip stitching. So just line them up how you want them to be attached, and then slip stitch them together. And slip stitch them together. And once you're done with that, it should look something like this. So you kind of open it like this, and then the seam is nice and pretty on one side, and then it kind of sticks out on the other side. And that's why you want to attach it on the uglier side, because the actual slip stitch looks ugly when you attach it. So when you flip it over, it looks nice and clean. So always make sure that you attach it not on the pretty side, but on the ugly side. So when I slip stitch this one on, I'm going to be sure that I am slip stitching not on this side, but folding it and attaching it on this side. So that's how I'm going to do all of these. So from here, I'll probably look at where I left off. So I left off on this side, so I'll probably just grab this next one and attach it like so. Again, flipping it over, making sure that I'm attaching it on the ugly side. They also call it the wrong side, but I feel like that's kind of confusing because there's no like right and wrong side. But in sewing tutorials and stuff that I've watched, every time it's flipped over, it's called the wrong side, but I'll just call it the ugly side so people don't get confused. But yeah, so I flipped it over to the ugly side, and now I'm slip stitching through it on the ugly side. And then when I open it back up, once I'm done attaching it, then it will look nice and pretty, and it'll be facing the pretty side. So now nice and open and nice and attached. So from here, I'm going to grab this ghost one and then do the exact same thing, except this time I'm going to attach it to 2 spots. I'm going to attach it right here I'm going to attach it right here as well as right here, and it's all the same thing. You just slip stitch everywhere and eventually it will all be attached to one another. So after you've attached all your granny squares together, it should go from looking like this to something like this. And all of the seams are nice and close together and it looks more cohesive as opposed to when you just kind of line them up like this. It looks good, but not as good as this. This is getting me so excited. And it gets me really excited because it looks like it's all coming together. It looks so cute. It reminds me of like childhood Halloween vibes with the colors. But yeah, so we're going to do the exact same thing to this side, and then we're going to attach the two together to make it a bag. So go ahead and grab your pieces on this side and slip stitch them all together so you can have two of these. Okay, so now that you've slip stitched 8 pumpkins with 8 ghosts, and then did it all over again for the second one, we are ready to go and actually attach the two together and make the actual bag. So to attach these two together, you're actually going to flip them the wrong way, or the ugly sides together. Actually, it's going to be the pretty sides facing each other like this, and then the ugly side is going to be on the outside but facing you. And we're going to do the same exact thing. We're going to slip stitch all across the bag, of course just leaving the top open so you could actually put stuff in there, but pretty much just attach the yarn to one of the sides of the tote bag, and then you're just going to slip stitch all across here to the bottom, then all across the bottom to the top, and then you're going to end here, and then you're just going to flip it right side in and be done with that part. And then all we need to do is make the straps. But yes, so I'm just going to grab my black yarn, or if you want to make a cool like contrasting stitch, you could grab the orange or the white yarn and use that to stitch them together, and maybe that'll add like a really cool look to it. Oh, that was just an idea that popped into my head. But I'm just going to stick with the black. So I'm going to attach it to one of the corners right here, and again I'm just going to slip stitch my way all the way down and across to the other side. So really easy, just put your hook through one side and then the other side, and then slip stitch them together, and eventually it'll all be attached. But again, remember to attach them with the ugly sides facing you, so that when you turn it inside out, or right side in, the pretty sides are what's facing out and what you will see. So yeah. Okay, so I've just finished slip stitching all around the tote bag, and this is what it looks like, just the ugly side of the tote bag. And now I'm going to flip it right side in, or inside out, however you would say it. I would say right side in because this is like the right side, and then it was already inside out. But anyway, after you flip it, this is what it should look like. So much cleaner. And then also the actual slip stitching stitches do not protrude out, and it looks nice and smooth and just very cohesive as well. So this is what the bag is looking like so far. Again, it's going to look way more Halloween-y once we actually have the faces on, but again, I wanted to do that at the end just so that I could just do it all at once and it'll be easy because they'll all be together. But if you've already put the faces on, how exciting! If it looks really, really good. But yeah, this is what it looks like so far. So all we need to do is make the strap, and you could be really fun with it. I was thinking of getting the orange, white, and black yarn and braiding it and then attaching it for the strap. I think that would be really cute to have like a multicolored braid as a strap. Or you could take the boring route like I'm probably going to do and just create a chain from one side all the way over to the other side, like however long you want your strap to be, and then just go back and forth on that chain and you've got your straps. Or I was thinking maybe I should do it the same way as an actual tote bag and then reattach the yarn here instead of making it from the side. So I have options. So let me think about that for a sec. Now that I think I'm going to attach it right here instead of starting from right here, I might just make the braid. I think the braid will be fun, but we'll see. I'll be back. See how cool it looks with all the different colors right here? So that's why I'm considering, is like, should I make the strap like all 3 different colors? Or should I just keep it simple with just a black strap so it could just like kind of go with everything? But at the same time, it's like whatever outfit I'm going to wear this with, it needs to match with this bag anyway, so might as well make the strap fun, but I don't know. I'm not sure. Oh my gosh. I kind of want to make it fun. So I guess we'll see how that goes. Should I add the different colors? So many options. Okay, so after much consideration, I decided to just go the boring route and just do plain black. And the reason I decided that is because when I kind of like lined everything up with the different colors, I was like, okay, it's cool, it's fun and funky, but it's a bit much. So I'll make the strap, you know, plain black and then have this be the standout. So I'm going to go with just plain black yarn, and I'm just going to attach these straps right here, or rather the yarn right here. I'm going to chain a chain that is pretty much as long as my example tote. It's so much easier to make this now that I have an example tote. But if you do not have an example tote, then kind of place the bag where you want it to be on your body, like when you're going to be holding it, and just pretend that there's a strap there, and then chain a chain that is long enough so that when you hold the bag like against your hip or under your armpit or whatever, however long you want your tote to be, then make that chain long enough so that it will sit there when you actually like wear the strap. And I'm going to, similar to this, make 2 straps. In the past, I've made bags where the strap goes from here to here. So if you like that, you could also do that. I personally decided that I don't like that anymore because it tends to kind of make the bag go like this when I wear it, when the straps are made from here to here. But again, totally up to you. This is your bag. You can do whatever you want. So for me, I'm going to attach the yarn right here and then make a really long chain for the strap and then attach it again right here and then go back and forth on it, probably using a single crochet until it is thick enough to where I feel like it's a solid, sturdy strap. So again, I'm just going to attach it right here and then make a really long chain and just kind of trial and error and figure out how long I want the strap to be. So I've created my chain of 85, so I didn't know how many chains I was going to make, but as I tried it on and saw that I like it this length, it's apparently 85 chains. So from here, I'm going to attach it to this side. So it's the same side of the tote bag, but just over here. And I'm just going to slip stitch the chain right in here, and then I have a strap. Woo! Yay! But it's a little flimsy since it's only a chain, so I'm going to go back on it with a single crochet, and to anchor it to the bag, I'm just going to slip stitch my way one this way, and then turn the project around, and then crochet on top of the strap to add, again, that extra layer of single crochet. And I want to say that 1 row of single crochet is still probably going to be too flimsy, so I'll probably end up adding yet another one. So when I get to the other side, I'm just going to do the exact same thing, slip stitch my way 1 stitch, and then flip the project over and then make another row of single crochet, and then I think that should be good. But if not, you know, I could just keep going until it's thick enough where I'm confident that I could put my stuff in it and the straps won't break off. So yes, you can do the same thing. So after a few more rows of single crochet, this is what the strap looks like, nice and thick and sturdy. And after I was done with this strap, I went ahead and did the exact same thing on the other side and created the second strap. Voila! So after you've completed your 2 straps, you are totally done with the crocheting aspect of the tote. And if you already added the faces, then you are totally done. Woo! Look how cute that looks. So for me, since I left the faces for last, I'm actually going to go ahead and cut out all the little jack-o'-lantern faces and the little ghost eyes from felt. But again, you can crochet the faces if you want to, but I'm going to take the easier route. Like, it's still very time consuming, but it's easier than crocheting little pieces just because they're so dang tiny. But yeah, I just made little jack-o'-lantern faces for the pumpkins, and then just little eyeballs for the ghosts. And I think they turned out so cute. So I actually already did one side. Ah! Look how adorable that is. Oh my gosh. It makes such a difference with the eyes, and it gives every single square like its own personality because I didn't like trace it. It's not all the same. I just kind of freehanded all of their faces. So look how cute they are. Oh my gosh. But yeah, you could totally personalize it and make any type of faces that you want, and everybody's can be unique and different. And yeah, overall I think it turned out really cute. It did take a really long time to make this, so if you are planning on wearing this for the Halloween season, start now because it did take me a while. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video and you have so much fun making your very own Halloweeny tote bag. Remember, the more beginner friendly / slower versions of how to make each of these squares will be linked in the description box below, as well as my Crocheting for Beginners video, as well as my Amazon affiliate links for black, white, and orange yarn, my crochet hook. Just visit the description box down below for pretty much anything that you need. Also visit the rest of my channel if you love crochet tutorials. I share tutorials on how to make crochet tops, or beanies, or scarves, or more tote bags, cardigans, so many different projects. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Krystal Everdeen. Please give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to click that red subscribe button if you have not already, so I can see you next time. Bye! And have a magical day.
These days, under the sun together. These days, let's make them last forever. These days, let's hope they last forever.